Hi guys, welcome to today's video. It's going to be about my miscarriage with MJ and the full story, everything that happened in the hospital and everything that happened after. So this is just my warning because YouTube requires you to do this. So I'm doing this because October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Well, Remembrance Month, so miscarriage awareness. I'm doing this to spread awareness and to help anyone that is watching, because there have been a lot of people reaching out to me lately. So I'm glad that I could help someone and be a friend and for someone to relate to. So I conceived MJ in October 2019, but I didn't know that I was pregnant with him until the 18th of January 2020. So I was 3 months pregnant and I didn't know because I didn't have any symptoms, and so I usually had very irregular cycles. So I thought, it was normal. And then I did bleed for one day, which was Christmas Day on last year. So I thought, that was just a very short period, but it wasn't. And so I started having a lot of cramps and headaches, but it was like a really bad cramp where my womb would be. It was pelvic cramps. So I thought, it was just my period gonna come, and so then I did start bleeding. So I thought, well, okay, this is just like a really heavy period. And then I decided to go to the emergency room because the pain was really bad. And when I got there at 10 p.m. on the 17th of January. That was Friday night. And so I waited in the waiting room after I spoke to the receptionist. I was just waiting to be seen by the doctor, and I just wasn't being seen. So I got tired of waiting, and then I went up to the counter at 4 a.m. From 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. I was just waiting there. This happened at Scarborough General Hospital in Tobago. And so I was just waiting there to be seen, and then when I finally went up, the doctor there told me that the test came back positive. So I asked what test, and she said the pregnancy test. She said I'm pregnant, and then she asked me if I didn't know, and I told her, well, no, I didn't know. So that's how I found out that I was pregnant. And I wasn't even sure how far along I was because I told them that my last period would have been December the 25th. And so when they did the ultrasound now, it wasn't like the regular ultrasound they should have done, because they said the ultrasound machines were closed. They are not doing those ultrasounds until Monday morning. So I would have to wait whole day Saturday, and I would have to wait the whole day Sunday, and then get the proper ultrasound done on Monday morning. So they did the in-house ultrasound. That's what they called it. That's what they told me it was. And then we saw the baby, and his heart was beating and he was moving around. We saw him around 6 a.m. That's when I got the ultrasound done. But let me rewind a little bit. After I was told by the doctor that I was pregnant, I was told to go sit and wait again. So I went and I sat and I waited again. And then the doctor came to see me, which would have been around 5 in the morning, close to 6 a.m. So when she came to get me and I stood, as soon as I stood, I felt like a gush. And I wasn't sure what it was. I thought that I peed myself. So I went to the toilet and I did pee because I had to pee a lot. But I didn't think that it was pregnancy symptom or anything, because I didn't think that I was pregnant. So then when I came back, I told the doctor that, there's something leaking out of me and it's clear. and she checked and everything, but she didn't tell me that like I was having a miscarriage or anything like that. She said when she did the ultrasound, now we saw him, he was moving around, his heart was beating. She said that she thinks that his sac is ruptured and that's the fluid that's coming out. She said, but she's not sure. I would have to get the proper ultrasound done and a gynecologist would have to come see me. Before I got the ultrasound done, the doctor in the ER, she isn't any gynecologist or anything, she was just a regular ER doctor. She knew that I was pregnant and she pressed really hard on my stomach. And I told her, stop, it's hurting, you're pressing too hard. And then she kept pressing and said that she needs to press so that she would see what's wrong. And I kept telling her to stop, but she just wouldn't stop. And then she finally stopped. And then she went to get the ultrasound machine. And so she took my blood to go and do the blood test. And that was 6 a.m. So I waited and I waited until 8 a.m. the test results came back, the blood test. And it's showed that I had an infection. But they didn't know where the infection was or anything. So they just assumed it was like a bladder infection or some kind of vaginal infection. And so they just treated me on antibiotics, just like a general antibiotics. I can't remember the name of it or anything. But they didn't treat me immediately, even though the results came back at 8 a.m. and I was told by the doctors that I need to be treated immediately, because I asked them if it is, I could check myself out and go to a private doctor, and they told me I could, but they don't recommend me doing that because I need to be treated immediately, or else I could die and the baby could die if I don't get these treatments immediately. So I stayed because I thought that would be the best option, because I was told that I needed it immediately. So I waited, and I just wasn't getting the antibiotics. No doctor came to give me, and I kept asking and asking, when am I going to get the antibiotics that I was told that I needed? And they kept telling me that they would come just now, they're just seeing to another patient, until finally at 11 a.m. I got the antibiotics. So I waited from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then I got the antibiotics that I really needed. So, because I had a fever and everything. And after I got the antibiotics, they just left me there and told me that they're gonna try to get me a bed in the gynecological ward. So I was just lying there in the emergency room, just waiting to be warded and for the gynecologist to come see me. And the gynecologist just was not coming. They said that the gynecologist is busy doing rounds. They call it rounds here. And that they're going and checking on everyone in the ward, and then they would come to the emergency room to see me, but they just didn't come. And I got really cold while I was in the emergency room, and we asked the nurses there for a blanket, and we asked very politely and everything, but they didn't want to give it to us. We heard them speaking between themselves, and they were talking about how young we were and what are we doing in the emergency room, and they were laughing and they were just carrying on. And then finally one nurse came and brought the blanket to me. So I waited there, and it seemed like it was just taking forever. And then later in the evening, now I'm not sure exactly what time that would have been. Probably it was before 6 p.m. because the sun hadn't set as yet. It was very early. It was probably about 4 or 5. They came to me now. It was a wheelchair attendant and also some doctors. They came to my bed where I was in the emergency room, and they told me that they need to have my bed. I need to get off the bed and go onto a wheelchair and wait until I get warded. So I was but I can't get off the bed. The first doctor put me on bed rest, so I can't get off the bed. And they were but no, you have to get off the bed, you have to get on the wheelchair because someone's has a more serious case than I do, and they need the bed right away. So, and I explained the situation to them, but like, it's leaking more, I'm bleeding more if I get off the bed. And they didn't care. They took me off the bed, they put me on a wheelchair, and they gave my bed to someone else. And so I was like crying, and I was just not good. And my parents and my fiance was there. Even my fiance's, his family flew in to Tobago from Trinidad to come be with us during that time, because we were scared. We didn't know what was going on. We were happy that we were having the baby, but then we were scared because something was wrong. And everyone was trying to like ask the doctors, like, when am I finally gonna get this bed? When am I gonna be warded? When is the gynecologist gonna see me? And so like, it was just really bad, and they knew that I was leaking more and that I was bleeding more in the wheelchair, but they just really didn't care. And then finally it was about 7 p.m. close to 8 p.m. The gynecologist came and took me back to the ward. I finally got the bed, and then they just spoke to me there. There were 2 gynecologists. There was like the head gynecologist, and then there was like another gynecologist. And so the lower one, he said that I'm about 17 weeks. I should be 17 weeks pregnant, and that I am having a threatened miscarriage because of the fluid that's coming out and because of the infection and everything. But then the head gynecologist now, she said no. She like literally told that gynecologist no. Her exact words were like, how could you say that she's having a threatened miscarriage? Don't say that, because she's not. And that head gynecologist reassured me that everything is going to be okay, because I was being treated on antibiotics then, and that I was getting the rest that I needed, and I'm finally on a bed again. So everything is going to be good. I'm going to be good. Baby is going to be good. And we'll get the ultrasound done on Monday morning, because that was Saturday evening now when I finally got warded. From being in the emergency room Friday night 10 p.m. I finally got a bed in the gynecological ward at 7 p.m. on Saturday the 18th. And so she told me, just get some rest, go to sleep, because I didn't have any sleep that day, because I just couldn't sleep. I was in the emergency room, I was in pain, I just couldn't. And my fiance was there as well. He stood beside me the entire time in the emergency room. He stood from Friday night until Saturday night. He barely ate. He ate once on Saturday because he just couldn't. He was so worried about me. So he didn't get any sleep either. So the gynecologist told me that I should get some rest, and so I eventually got some rest in the night, and I went to sleep Saturday night the 18th, knowing that I'm gonna be good and baby's gonna be good and everything's just gonna work out. Nothing's gonna be wrong anymore. And so then I woke up around 1 a.m. and I needed to use the bathroom. So I went, I peed, I realized there was like, I was bleeding and there was like a blood clot, and it was kind of big. So I went and I told the nurse there that were overnight. I told them, well, there's it's still in the toilet. I left it in the toilet. Can they come take a look? And I told her, but the gynecologist told me that everything should be fine. And so she didn't know what to do. So she just told me, well, if the gynecologist said that everything should be fine, then I should just go back to sleep, get some more rest, and in the morning they would come to me and they would check on me. So I went back to sleep after 1 a.m. And while I was sleeping, I kept having these dreams that like I was in there, in the ward, in the room, and there were 3 other girls in the room, but there were like curtains blocking off the beds. So I kept having these dreams that like doctors were coming in and they were like doing a surgery on me, and like I dreamed that like I was this big fat person, and like I was just like huge, all swollen, and like I had a lot of fat on my body, and the doctors were just like cutting me and taking off all of this fat that I had and making me really, really thin and skinny. And I kept waking up and going back to sleep, and I kept having this dream over and over and over. So I thought, it's maybe just because I'm scared and I'm here in the hospital, because I've never been in like a hospital like that before. So I thought it's maybe just because I'm scared. But then I woke up at 4:40 a.m. So this would be Sunday the 19th, 2020. At 4:40 a.m. I woke up because I needed to go to the bathroom again. So I peed and I wiped, and then I just felt like something was coming out. I was still in the toilet and I felt like something was coming out. And then all of a sudden something did come out. And when I looked down, I saw the baby. I saw Anjay, and he was still attached to me with his cord. And so like I just grabbed toilet paper really fast and put it on my hand, and as soon as I touched him, his umbilical cord broke off. And everything else just came out of me, but I was holding him in my hand, and he was this size. He was really, really small. So I grabbed my phone and I took some pictures of him really fast before I could call the doctors, because in my head I thought, what if I call the doctors, and what if they just take him away from me, and what if I don't get to see him again, what if I don't get to hold him again. So I took these pictures so that I would have it to remember, and I sent them to my fiance, and I called him before I even called the doctors, and I told him what was going on. And then he asked me if I'm alone. I told him, yeah, nobody's here. I didn't even tell the doctors. And he told me I should hang up and I should call the doctor. And so I hung up and I screamed for the doctors, and they didn't hear me, but one girl, a lady in my room, she heard, and she ran and she called the doctors for me, and they came. Well, they were nurses actually. They came, and one of them came, and she saw him in my hand, and she just gave me this hug and asked if I'm okay, and I was just crying, and I told her I need my fiance, I need my mom. So she told me go ahead and give them a call and tell them that they could come. And so I called them, and they came, and they were with me the whole time while I was in there. But before they came, the nurse just told me to put him on this blue sheet of paper that she gave me. She told me to put him in there and just leave him on the chair, clean myself up, and go back to my bed. So I did what she told me to do because I didn't know what to do. So I just did that, and I also wasn't feeling well. I started to see back, so I went and I lay back down, and I did put him on the paper and left him in the toilet. And I regret doing that. I wish that I held him longer, and I wish that I took him back to the bed with me, and I spent more time with him. I wish that I took him home when I was given the option to bring him home, or to let the hospital do the whole burial. But I just I thought the best thing to do would be to give the hospital, because I thought I wouldn't be able to do it. But I wish I did take him home with me and do a proper burial myself. And well, after that, now that was Sunday. I stayed Sunday night in the hospital, and I came out on Monday lunchtime. I came out of the hospital, and then it took a while before I posted anything on social media, or like just try to get any kind of help or anything like that, because the hospital did treat me really badly. Looking back at it, it was really bad treatment, and they should not have done what they did. The first doctor should not have pressed on my stomach so hard, because I was pregnant and she knew that, but yet still she pressed hard, even though I clearly told her to stop. She just kept pressing hard, and then they took long to give me antibiotics. They took me off bed rest and put me on a wheelchair to give the bed to someone else while I was there like the night before. The gynecologist told me that everything would be okay and that I am not having a miscarriage. So it was really bad. And then when they sent me home, they didn't even offer any sort of grief counseling or anything. They just sent me home with antibiotics, and they told me to come back in a week for a checkup, but they didn't offer any kind of mental support or any kind of counseling. So then we tried to get our story out. My fiance got it out on the newspaper and everything about how the hospital treated us really badly. And so we got to have these meetings with the hospital, with the chief medical officer of the hospital. And so we had 2 meetings. The first meeting we had with him, we thought, we were actually gonna get something out of it. Like, the doctors would be held responsible for what they did. And so in the first meeting, we told him, the chief medical officer, everything that happened. And he took notes and everything, and he said that everyone will be held responsible for whatever they did. And he told us that we would have a follow-up meeting. And so in this follow-up meeting now, we were supposed to get answers to why weren't we told that it was a miscarriage? Why weren't we told, the truth that we were having a miscarriage? Why we were treated so badly? But instead, we went to the second meeting, and all we got were a bunch of sorries and apologies. Like, literally, there were all of the doctors there, the one that pressed hard on me, the one that took long to give me antibiotics, everything. They were all there in that meeting, and they all just said that they are sorry and they learned from their mistakes and they won't do that to any patients in the future. So that was all that came out of it. I got an apology for them contributing to the death of my son. And I say that they contributed to it because I didn't get any answer as to what went wrong and what happened, but they could have done something. There's always that what if. What if the doctor didn't press hard on my stomach? What if they gave me antibiotics on time and they treated the infection or whatever it was wrong? What if they really did help me? And if I knew Saturday night that I was going to have a miscarriage, I would not have gone to sleep Saturday night. I would have stayed there. Well, I would have stayed awake with my fiance there too, because they told him to leave. He had to leave Saturday night. But we would have stayed together. We would have spent our last moments together with MJ. We would have held him longer when he was born on Sunday. We would have done the proper funeral and burial for him. There's just so much that we would have done more with him, and there's so much regret, and it's really the hospital's fault. And so it's been really hard since, and it really doesn't get easier. A lot of people tell you that it'll get better in time and everything happens for a reason, but everything doesn't happen for a reason. Life is just crap, and it really doesn't get easier. You somehow manage to go through each day, but it's not easy at all. It's really hard. And so I'll be making some more videos throughout this month for miscarriage awareness, pregnancy loss, infant loss awareness. I'll be making some videos this month letting you all know my way of dealing with grief and my tips, and just to help anyone else that's going through this. So make sure to like this video and to share it with anyone you think it could help, and also subscribe because that helps. And stay tuned because I will be making more videos on my journey, and I will insert some pictures of how MJ actually looked at 12 weeks. But I would like blow off the blood because there was a lot, but I will show you how he really looked and everything. I would insert some pictures and maybe videos now of like his ultrasound, the one and only ultrasound that we got. And if anyone needs a friend to talk to, my link will be in the description to my Instagram account. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.
The sac around the baby has ruptured. It's moving. And they have a fever as well. It could be anything, you know. It could be an infection. It could be because you didn't do anything. You didn't.
No, I didn't lift weights or nothing like that.
Right.
And the ultrasound, what they do, they see everything. They will see everything.
Right. And